I want to talk about self-esteem and confidence. They're interdependent. You can't have belief in yourself. You can't have confidence unless you have a healthy self-esteem. So what is self-esteem? Most people think about it as how you see yourself, your opinion of yourself. It's actually how we perceive that others see us. We base that on what others tell us about ourselves, which is one reason why emotional abuse is so devastating, especially in your childhood. And people really take cues from what others say. And everyone wants to think, I don't care what people think. But that's not true, because we do. We're social beings. So we create this image of what we want people to see. And for people, image is everything, man. And how they project, what they want to project and put out there. And we're so image obsessed. We create this inauthentic, fragmented self, this persona of how we want others to see us. And we lose our own genuine identity in the process. I'm not really going to get into Jungian perspectives on persona. We ought to save that for a later date. I do want to talk about people who come into my practice with low self-esteem. It's all pretty much the same. They have this persona that they project, and it's all about ego protection. At the core of it is low self-esteem and low self-worth. And narcissism, you see this a lot. It's just this real heavy shell. And in it is this little fragile ego. And it's created these huge, thick walls to protect itself. And we see a lot of this. And I don't mean clinical narcissism necessarily. I'm referring to egotism as a defense mechanism. That makes it really hard to treat because they don't want to expose that soft underbelly. At the bottom of it's fear. And, that's understandable. And there's a lot of therapeutic interventions you can do to get around that, which we may talk about later. So, question is, how do we improve our self-esteem? Because that's really why you clicked. That's why we're here. That's why we're talking. We don't want to feel like we have less self-worth. We don't want to feel less than. We want a genuine, healthy ego. We want to create an honest, holistic, integrated self. And that's a little bit of jargon there, but we really want to be congruent as a person. Now, you can't just build self-esteem on nothing. It has to come from somewhere. The quality of being special is based on your actions, not the mere fact of your existence. A lot of people, when they were kids, they were told they were special without any real substance to it. Which, sure, it's true. We're all special. But there's got to be a reason that makes you special. And everyone's got that reason. You just have to figure it out. You can't just blanketly say everybody is special. Because what happens is you create that fake, artificial self-esteem. And that creates a real shallow sense of self-worth. And so you have to deconstruct that and rebuild from something meaningful. And that's what we're going to talk about. So that's going to start with two things. One is awareness. There's no change you're ever going to make in your life unless you're aware of what needs to change and take responsibility for that change. The other one is building integrity. Let's look at integrity first. That is having a strong moral and ethical value system that we adhere to. And creating that is not as easy as it sounds. For a lot of people, it's pretty black and white. They have their religious beliefs that they grew up with. They have their cultural beliefs that they grew up with. They've never really questioned them. They just commit to those. And that's fine. If that's you, there's nothing wrong with that, as long as you are abiding and adhering to that. If you're not, you're going to start having inner conflict, and that's going to impact your self-esteem. If you do things that you know are wrong, you're not going to like yourself, and you're not going to project an image that other people will respect. And that will in turn make you dislike yourself even more. So what if you don't have a pre-existing moral and ethical background? I've actually seen it pretty often. Now, of course, I can't tell you what values and ethics to build your foundation on. There's a lot of literature out there, thousands of years worth, and you just have to go through it, read it, figure out what aligns best with you. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep it simple. Say what you mean, and do what you say. The other thing is setting small, obtainable goals. Don't set yourself up for failure. It's like, well, I want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I want to make it through med school. Okay, well, that's admirable, but let's take a step back, and maybe it's just studying for this one test. That is what's going to help you on your way. Because the more that you set a goal and the more that you complete that goal and are successful, even if it's just a little bit better than last time, your confidence is going to go up. It's like we say in therapy. We have no magic wand. There's not one word or one phrase that we can say that's going to create a new you. It takes work. Sometimes you have to demolish it and build from the ground up. That's okay. A better you is a better world. And once you develop that value system, once you have that strong code of ethics that you abide by, don't apologize for your beliefs. There's going to be people who disagree. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing. But you have to stand by what you believe. What are your principles? Because when you abandon those principles, people lose respect for you. And then in turn, you lose respect for yourself. Don't apologize for your belief. It's okay to take in new information, to reevaluate your belief system, and create a more concrete foundation. Now, if you make a mistake, apologize. That's okay. That's taking responsibility for your actions. Now, sometimes with codependency, people are very apt to apologize for everything, even someone else's mistakes. That's where awareness comes in, that's where mindfulness comes in, and we're going to talk about that in a lot more detail. There's this really cliche saying, fake it till you make it. They say that in NA, they say that in AA, you hear it all the time. It sounds like a Nike commercial. I don't like it. The Adlerian perspective of that, and the Adlerian technique, is acting as if. You're acting as if you are the person that you want to be. And that's very meaningful. But of course, you have to have a strong value and ethical system in place before you know what to act as if. Either that, or you're just running around emulating other people and you're not being the genuine you. Remember, this is all about congruency. We have to assimilate all the parts of our personality and create something that's very real. Or people are going to see it, they're going to see it's fake, they're not going to like you, they're not going to respond to it, they're not going to respect it. People don't respect you, you won't respect you. Doesn't matter what your size is, doesn't matter how tall you are, how wide you are, doesn't matter what your brain capacity is. What matters is if you say what you mean and do what you say, and people respond to that and respect it, and then you will respect you. And then over time, your confidence will improve. In the interest of time, I want to keep this a little bit more succinct. So let's go through and do a recap of what we need to do to improve our self-esteem. First, create a strong moral and ethical value system. That is going to be absolutely instrumental in your change. And without that, there's nothing that guides your change in any kind of meaningful way. And you're just this blob floating through time and space, seeking one pleasure event after the other. And frankly, that is not going to make you like yourself. And it's actually counterproductive. Next is setting small, obtainable goals. Don't get too big, don't get too grand. Keep it simple. Give yourself credit for the effort you put into it. Look for small changes, small improvements, anywhere that you can say, hey, I did a little bit better this time than I did last time. That's what builds your confidence. At the root of change is mindfulness and responsibility. Am I aware of what needs to change? And can I take responsibility for that change? Let that be your guide. If there's anything that's been discussed here that you want to hear more about, leave a comment in the comments section. Thanks for listening, and take care.